Hey, it's Mark, and welcome back. So now we're going to talk a little bit about the dietary problems that are influencing our guts. So we just learned about the gut and the brain connection a minute ago on our last video. Now we're going to talk about somehow the lifestyle factors are going to start influencing that gut. Number one with that always has to be what you put in your mouth and what comes out the other end. And what happens in between matters as well. So let's talk for a few minutes here about some of the lifestyle dietary issues that I see pretty much as we'll say like a 90% rule. 90% of the people that I see that are coming to me with ADD or ADHD or attention or focus issues pretty much had the same diet. And unfortunately, that diet is not what I would call a diet that's conducive to healing the gut. We have to kind of take that message first. So what does that diet look like for a lot of you? A lot of refined sugar, a lot of refined carbohydrates in particular, very, very low fat type diets. I see that quite frequently actually. I also see too much processed and quick foods, so too much microwaves, even though they look great on the labels, those microwave dinners look fantastic. Unfortunately, the preservatives and additives in there are just something that we can't really do, and expect a good outcome. And the last part is where we have way too many calories coming in, but the nourishment is relatively low. So the quality of the food that we're eating matters as well. So let's break those couple of pieces down. So sugar. Sugar is just as addictive as cocaine. Literally, it lights up the same receptors in the brain as those crazy potent street drugs do. Not a really good idea. So sugar is one of those things that unfortunately it's in everything. It's in absolutely everything. It's so hard to avoid sugars unless you're going to the point where you're on a paleo style diet, which I recommend for a lot of different people. So what I mean by a paleo style diet is kind of looking like let's break it down. So we have, proteins, fats, and carbohydrates, and the carbohydrates from starchy sources. So I don't want you really consuming, breads and pastas and those types of things. I don't really care about those things. They're kind of like they're not worth it to me. When I start putting these things back together for people, I want you to get in carbohydrates from carrots, cabbage, broccoli, cauliflower, sweet potatoes, sometimes white potatoes. I really want you kind of getting some quinoa instead of that just regular old white rice. I want to start seeing some beans and peas and legumes. These are the things that actually in nature feed our gut flora. And real chocolate, we can't forget about that either. So 90 to 95% real cocoa powder is one of the most potent things to deliver. It's called a polyphenol, and polyphenols feed your friendly bacteria. So I think number one, we need to get the processed sugar food crap out, and we need to get the good nourishment type foods kind of coming in. But here's where it breaks down further. We really want to control the amount of toxins that are kind of coming in from our foods as well. So conventionally grown foods, unfortunately, aren't really getting the nourishment in our bodies that we're really requiring. So the soil is devoid, not putting things back in the soil. We got pesticide residues, we got fertilizers, we got bug repellents. So many of these things are coming into our bodies every single day. So I think at some point in the game, we have to call it a juncture here where we need to detox those foods for a couple of weeks. So I have a 28-day reset plan I'm going to talk to you about in a few minutes, which basically kind of cuts out those types of foods that are high in the toxin list and lets your body kind of get the right nutrients coming back in to really provide that, I call it more soap suds, to get those things that don't dissolve in water to dissolve in water inside your body. So it's fascinating to see what happens to someone when you detox them properly. And I always try to follow, I always get the question of, do I need to spend, double my grocery bill on organic food? And sometimes the answer to that is yes, depending on where you live. But I think if you follow the Dirty Dozen and Clean 15, that's probably the better way to go about that. So I'll put a PDF in the follow-up notes here that you can download from my website for the Clean 15 and the Dirty Dozen. So those are the things that even in my home I try to eliminate from the Dirty Dozen. I try to eliminate those, try to buy them organic as possible. So some examples are like apples and strawberries, things that are very porous. You really want to try to get that going in the organic sense. So the other thing we have to talk about is absorption. So just because you're eating all this wonderful, tremendous food, what are you absorbing? And that's the kind of issue that I bring up, because we used to say, you are what you eat. And unfortunately, that's not true anymore, because now you are what you absorb. So most people that I see that have issues with ADD and ADHD, unfortunately, they come a lot of times they come with me, especially adults, with heartburn. Now, heartburn's got to tell me that your stomach is not digesting and turning on the acids like it should to let your body actually start the digestive process. So that got to be fixed, number one. We got to find the underlying cause of why you have that heartburn. So again, some of you that are coming to ADHD or ADD might not get to the ADD phase for a couple of weeks. You might need to do the liver detox first, the food change first, and we might need to support the stomach acid first before we'll ever have success with getting the right things inside the body for ADHD. So again, this is where the detective work comes in, right? This is, you come to me with a symptom, but there's 10 layers to that symptom. And just like Jenga, when you do your Jenga, when you're trying to play in that game, do you start right at the very bottom and pull that one out? For a lot of us, we do, because it's the easiest one to get out, right? So we really want to kind of place the order of those things so the building doesn't topple over. And that literally means that your body doesn't present with more symptoms while we're trying to get better. It's a common thing that I see with a lot of people that are doing this on their own, is they read something online and you start doing it, but unfortunately it makes you feel worse because it's sometimes not the right layer to start with. So again, that's when the testing comes in, right? I want to make sure I'm not missing and leaving any stones unturned before I start with your process. So food's a really, really big deal. We're one of the first societies right now to be over calorically satisfied and undernourished. So we really need to make sure our bodies are nourished. And we need to use supplements to do that, fine. Again, I'm still a food first as medicine guy. So I really want to get your food dialed in. I want to get those things that are causing inflammation out. I want to get the right nutrients in to start helping your body put the pieces back together so that it takes less work for me and more work for your body, because your body's programmed to do this. All you need is the roadmap of how to go about and do it. So again, the takeaway from the food, we eat far too much processed food, far too many colors and dyes coming into our body. Yellow number 40 and red number 5, and I might have those numbers mixed up. They're nasty, proven time and time again to cause some of those hyperactivity states in kids. They used to get red food dye from the backs of beetles, believe it or not. Now we don't. They're synthetically made in a laboratory, and the chemical is about that big. It's crazy. So we really want to be getting those things out of our day and get color from nature. We really want to start looking at getting more real foods, so getting more, avocados and nuts and seeds and greens, very, very important in our day as well. And we want to get the carbohydrates from the versions that your body actually wants, the ones that do benefits to the body. So you want to start kind of getting more quinoa instead of rice. You want to start putting in some beans if you can handle it. If they make you crazy bloated, then don't do it. But you want to start getting some beans, peas, and legumes. You want to get broccoli, cabbage, cauliflower. You want these kind of things coming into your body because those are what feeds your gut bugs. At some point, we got to think, I hear this every single day, I don't like that. And my answer is, I don't care, because your gut does. And that's what we need to kind of get past first. But sometimes we need to suck up the point of, you might not like it, but your gut bugs love it. And because you don't eat it is probably part of the reason why your gut is in the state that it's in. So for a very short period of time, sometimes we got to suck it up and just kind of get it in there to get to the point where we can actually start seeing some resolvement of these symptoms. So again, when I say I don't care, I don't really mean I don't care, I do. But at the end of it all, when we can look at and break it down for you, we have to start eating to feed our guts, not to feed you. Because at the end of the day, you are only a byproduct of your gut. So what's more important, right? So food is a big one. I'm going to talk about a couple of other factors as I keep going through these videos. I'm going to talk about some of the nutrient deficiencies that I see, some of the heavy metal toxicity that I see. I'm going to talk a little bit about the lifestyle and lack of exercise and stress that I see. I'm going to keep this thing going. I'm loving doing this. I really appreciate you tuning into my videos. I hope you learned something from them. And I'm really, really excited to put this pieces together for you. If you find this information interesting, let's sit down and have a consultation about how we put this together for you. So I appreciate it. I'll come back at you soon.